Everybody. Mr. Eisenbrown here from the counseling office. Just want to talk to you right now as you're halfway through your high school career, starting off your junior year, options after Evergreen Park Community High School. Because it is that time where you're going to start the process of figuring out what it is you want to do when you're done with Evergreen Park. Again, a little over a year and a half, you are done with high school. So the time really is come to decide on what you want to do next. What's that next path for you? Again, want to list all the options for you, give you a brief overview of what those entail, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of guidance towards whatever path it is that you want to take, or if you were unsure, maybe gives you a little bit of direction. So there are 5 basic paths that students take after graduating high school. The first is going to a 4-year college or university, whether or not that's going to that college or university while you're living at home or while you're residing in a dorm to begin with. Going to a local community or junior college, most commonly for students at Evergreen Park, that's Marine Valley Community College. You can enter the armed forces, enter a trade school to join a union, or simply join the workforce. Again, we'll give a little bit more description of each of these to hopefully help guide you as you're thinking about what path is going to be right for you. So one thing we do want to make you aware of is just some of the basic facts regarding continual education after high school. And the chart you see in front of you is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and just lets you know that by statistics, those who have more than a high school diploma earn more. And the more education they receive in terms of the degrees they receive, the more they are going to make per week on average. And vice versa, the higher level of education attained also does show that those people are more employable. They have a lower rate of unemployment than those who have simply a high school diploma or don't finish high school at all. Again, this is Department of Labor from 2017. So again, as you can see, the median earnings per week by somebody with a high school diploma is $712 versus somebody with a bachelor's degree at $1,173. Again, the more education you receive, the more likely your salary is to increase for whatever job it is that you do hold. So jumping right into the first of those 5 paths are the 4-year college and universities. In the United States, there are over 2,500 4-year colleges and universities. All of them offer something unique. All of them have different programs. Some specialize more in different programs. The campuses are all very different, not only the way they're set up, but obviously geographically. The key is to think about what you really want in your college experience, and what's right for one person is not necessarily right for the other. For the first 12 years of your educational lives since kindergarten, you've probably been told where to go, and that was just based around the town you lived in. Now you get to kind of branch off and see what options there are, what different schools look like, what they feel like if you have a chance to go on campus, which we'll talk about more later. But the main thing is to start thinking really, if this is your path, if you want to go to a 4-year college or university, think about what you want your college experience to be like. And again, that's not just the name of the school, but it's the size of the school, all these different factors which we'll go upon in depth. But we really do want you thinking about these different criteria that is different college by college. So again, as I said, this is a big decision. This is really probably one of the first major decisions you guys have had a chance to be a key part of, right? More often than not, you didn't decide where you lived. You may not have decided where you go to high school. All these things were decided for you, but this is one of those first life events that you are going to have a hand in determining. So again, some things to consider in terms of criteria. Number 1 is admission standards, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Size of the school is a really big one. Again, if you've gone through the Evergreen Park system, you've always kind of been in smaller schools. Even EPCHS is not a very big high school by common standards. And if you like that, that's great. there are plenty of colleges and universities that do provide a smaller smaller student body where you kind of can get to know your professors, get to know the other students that are on campus. And for some, kind of looking maybe to spread your wings or try something different, there are a lot of colleges and universities that offer that are much larger and offer a lot of different opportunities. Another thing to think about is the cost of attendance. Obviously, college is not cheap. There are ways to kind of help offset some of the price you see on the website, which is called the sticker price. That's through financial aid, that's through scholarships, grants, work study, student loans, all those things we're going to talk about at a later time in more depth during a separate financial aid presentation. But cost of attendance is obviously a huge factor in where students do decide to go to college. Location is another big one. Again, for the majority of you, you have probably always lived in or at least around the Evergreen Park area. So do you want to stay in the Chicagoland area, or do you want to use this opportunity to kind of venture out and see different parts of the state or different parts of the Midwest or different parts of the country even? Location is a big factor in terms of where people do end up going. Reputation of selected majors, if you have that. Again, if you don't have a major in mind at this point, that's completely fine and understandable. Even really, if you, during your senior year, you're still unsure, that's fine as well. You can go into college as what's called undecided, and there you would take your prerequisite courses. You would take a couple introductory courses for different majors maybe you're interested in, and you would have to decide your major by the end of your sophomore year in college. You have to declare your major. But for those of you that have already known what you want to do, maybe you've known since you were younger, that's great. What you want to do then is make sure that the schools you're looking at, number one, have those majors, and number two, you can look at the reputation of the majors. Do the people in those fields that graduate from the university, do they get hired? Do they get internships? Those kind of things. That's another factor in terms of the research you're doing that you want to check out. Also, you want to look at the clubs and student organizations. One of the great things about Evergreen Park is how involved our students are. That's in sports, that's in music, that's in the arts, that's in our different clubs, student leadership, and government, all those things. And hopefully you've participated in some of those clubs and organizations throughout your first 2 years here. If not, never too late to join. Clubs and organizations and sports even are still looking for student involvement. So I'd encourage you still to reach out. If maybe there's something you always thought about doing and haven't tried, definitely not too late to do that. But if you've enjoyed that component of high school, you've enjoyed the clubs, maybe you've really enjoyed being a part of the theater program, and you want that to continue in college, well, the reality is most colleges offer some version of the theater program. So again, you want to look and see what that particular college has to offer besides just your academic classes. And lastly, social atmosphere. Again, you are going to have much more free time in college than you have in high school. Right now, you're in class roughly about 30 hours a week when we're in school. That's 30 hours per week that you're in school. When you were in college, the average freshman takes 15 credit hours per semester. That means you're in class for 15 hours a week. So right there, you have 15 extra hours in your day, throughout your week to have something to do. So making sure that you feel like there's people that you can relate to, there's organizations, the social atmosphere is good for you, is a really important part of that final decision on where you go to college. And again, all these things can be found out or helped with through the Naviance Supermatch tool. We're going to be sending out an additional video kind of doing a walkthrough of the Naviance Supermatch function, which basically takes all the colleges in the United States, allows you to enter whatever criteria it is you're looking for. And again, it's going to be different for each one of you, and it's going to filter out things that don't match. So again, the example I use in the video, which you'll see hopefully at some point, is if you want to stay in the Midwest, it's going to eliminate colleges from all of the other regions of the country. It's just going to give you Midwest schools. And then it's going to, if you want to go to a school that has under 5,000 students, well, we're going to get rid of any college that has students over $5,000 in terms of, or 5,000 students on their campus. So again, it's one of those things where it really will kind of help hone in on some schools that seem to be good fits for you. And again, if you enter a lot of criteria in and it matches you up well with a few different schools, why wouldn't you at least check those out to see, if they are as good of a match as it seems to be through the SuperMatch system. All right, so again, admission standards. Again, we know applying to college takes place very early in your senior year. Usually starts late August, and for most students, runs through December. We're going to encourage all of you who maybe your grades are where you want them to be, your test scores will be where you have them. Again, test scores we'll talk about more in a moment. You want to apply by what are called priority deadlines, which is usually November 1st. But you also want to know what colleges actually look for when they get your applications in. Again, when you send them all this material, here's the criteria they're looking for. So again, first and foremost does tend to be GPA or grades in your classes. So again, cumulative GPA, that means GPA across all the time you've been in high school. Again, that started the first semester of your freshman year. And for you guys that are applying in the fall of your senior year, that means through junior year. So what that also means for you guys is this is the last year for the majority of you to get your GPAs where you need them to be. So junior year is really, really crucial in doing well. So again, if your GPA maybe wasn't where you wanted to be after your freshman year, but you improved sophomore year, and now this is the year to really get that final push to boost that GPA. And again, if your GPA has always been good, you want to maintain that. So the minimum GPA that colleges really even consider is around a 2.0. That's the absolute minimum that they'll even consider when reviewing an application. Again, the actual GPA of students that gets accepted is way higher than that, but that's kind of the minimum. Below a 2.0, a lot of universities really won't even consider that application unless there's some other factors there. They want to know about class rigor, and what that means is how difficult are the classes that you're taking. Did you take honors classes? Did you try an AP class? Or if you have a specific major in mind, did you take classes that we offer that align to that? So for example, let's just say you want to be a marketing major. That's going to be your major. You've always known you want to be in marketing. Well, did you take Introduction to Business here at EP? Because it's a class we offer, right? That makes sense to them. Did you take multiple math class? Did you take a math class your senior year? Because again, marketing still does involve numbers as much as the creative side. Did you take graphic design? Because in marketing, obviously, you're going to have to learn to be creative and design certain presentations for different companies that you work for. Again, they're going to look to see that as well as did you try advanced level courses. They're going to look at your class rank, which is, again, how you compare to your peers here within the school. They're going to look at your test scores from the SAT, or if you take it the ACT. Colleges do not care which one you take, but here in Illinois, we give you the SAT in school, which you guys will get coming up in the spring, and that test will be used for admissions. Additionally, they're going to look at your personal essay, which most colleges require you to do. Again, this is just a chance for the colleges to get to know a little bit more about you than just looking and seeing a GPA, then seeing a test score, then seeing just an address. This kind of gives them a little bit of insight to who you are and why you would be a good fit for their college. They're also going to look at recommendations from teachers, from counselors, people who are vouching that, yes, you are a person who is ready to go and be successful in college and beyond. And then they're also going to look at your extracurricular activities, your service activities, because they want students involved on their campus in college. They want a vibrant campus community, and the best way for them to know that if students are going to get involved in college is by those students having been involved previously in high school. And again, please keep in mind for all these, every college, they have their own criteria for how they value each of these factors. So again, it's not the same for all colleges. Each place determines that themselves. All right, so we talked about admission standards. So something just to kind of share with you is these are some of the more popular colleges that Evergreen Park students apply to and attend. So again, just looking at what the GPA, the average GPA and test scores of students that have been accepted by these universities can be really helpful for you when you're deciding whether or not to apply to these schools. Again, you want to be realistic in terms of what your numbers look like in comparison to students that get accepted. So again, let's just say, we're going to just make up a number here. Let's say I have a 3.5 GPA. Well, if I have a 3.5 GPA and I want to go to St. Xavier, then their average GPA is a 3.4. Well, from a GPA standpoint, I look to be a pretty good bet for getting accepted. Now, if I still have that same 3.5 GPA and I want to apply to the University of Notre Dame, well, that looks a little different. So we're not saying don't apply, but you do need to know that the odds of getting accepted to Notre Dame, whose average student that gets accepted has a 4.11 GPA, me with a 3.5, it may not be as likely versus St. Xavier, where it looks really good. Again, if I have that 3.5 GPA and I apply to Purdue, there's a pretty good chance, especially if my test scores are around their average as well. Again, these factors we just want you to take into comparison because we want you to apply, to those dream schools, of course, but we also want you to apply to places that it looks like you have a pretty good shot of getting in, because that will give you options, not only options in terms of the locations of the schools, the school atmosphere, monetary options as well. We don't want anybody feeling stuck just going to one college because maybe that was the only place they got accepted to, or they didn't look at other schools that could be good fits from an academic standpoint. Again, we always encourage everybody to take the SAT more than once. Again, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we are going to give the SAT in school during the spring. Well, that's one time you're going to take it. We are encourage anybody that thinks that they are going to a four-year college or university after they graduate from EPCHS to take that SAT more than once. For that, you will need to sign up on your own on the College Board website, pick a local high school that hosts it on a Saturday, and take it. Because the reality is this: colleges don't care if you took the SAT once, they don't care if you took it twice, they don't care if you took it 5 times. They are using your highest score or a composition of your highest scores when making that admissions decision. So if you took the SAT in school the first time in the spring and you got 1,000, because maybe it was just an off day, maybe you just weren't feeling well or whatever it was, you scored 1,000 on the SAT, and then you take it again at another local high school in June of next year, and you get a 1,300. Well, they're only going to use that 1,300 when reviewing your application. They're not going to look at that 1,000 that you scored. So again, something to keep in mind. And again, a big push for you guys to take that SAT more than once, because they're using the highest score for admission, and they're also going to use it for scholarship consideration. All right. So now this is one that we talk about a lot, and we realize that right now, this probably looks a little bit different for your class. We always say that you wouldn't buy a house without walking through it. You wouldn't buy a car without never test driving it. So why would you go to a school that you've only seen on paper? Visiting is 100% the best way to get to know if it's a good feel for you. The school feels like it fits. Schools are now starting to offer more in-person visits. Not every college is doing that. A lot of colleges still are doing virtual visits or virtual sessions with an admissions counselor, but more and more are starting to go to, again, it's limited, but campus tours. So there still should be the option for many schools and many of you that are interested of going to those schools and actually getting on the campus and seeing what the campus looks like, what it feels like. So again, we always recommend visits, especially those schools you are really considering applying and potentially going to. So the way to do this best is, number one, you want to reach out to the admissions office, right? If you're going to go for a visit, you need to schedule a date. You're not going to be able to just show up and go on a tour. I think it's safe to say that really no colleges are doing that right now, where they just have open admissions tours and people just show up. So you want to arrange that with the admissions office. You want to talk to the admissions counselor, right? These are the people who are the experts on their schools, and their whole goal is to get great students into those universities. So again, they're the best resources for the programs they have on campus, for additional scholarships they may have. they're kind of your go-to person for those colleges. So we definitely encourage you to make those connections with the admissions counselors. Again, if you're able to, take the tour of the campus, again, just to see what the buildings look like, see the distance maybe from the dorm rooms to the academic rooms. You just kind of give you the vibe of the campus. When students are there, if you're able to, talking to students is always a great thing to do. They're the ones who give you the honest opinions. Tours all tend to sound somewhat the same, to be quite honest with you. But students will give you their honest opinion of what the school is really like. We realize this might be a little bit more difficult during this current time. Same thing with sitting on classes. The odds are that's probably not going to be an option. But if it is, if things kind of go back to normal in the springtime, they may be able to allow you to sit in on classes, which is really kind of a nice thing to do. Kind of gives you a feel for what like actual college classes like. You can visit the departments of the potential majors if you know what you want to do. So again, if you want to be an engineer, see the engineering department, see what they're working on, what research is being done, see what they have that you can work with in terms of the technologies. Eating the dining halls, again, just to get an idea of what the food options are. And again, this one may not be possible this year, but stay overnight on campus. Again, just gives you an idea of what that social atmosphere is like at the particular school. And again, even if you're not able to get to campus this year, still talk to the admissions people, still take the virtual tours. Again, it gives you at least a glimpse of what that school is really like. So again, that's really important. Again, moving on to the kind of next path that a lot of our students do take. This is actually the most popular path for students leaving Evergreen Park Community High School. And that's the community and junior college. Again, traditionally called two-year colleges. For some, they are. For some, it's a little bit more. For some, it's less. But community and junior colleges. Again, as I mentioned, for us, the most popular one is Moraine Valley. That's our district community college right down the road in Palos Hills. Again, not all students are going to go to a four-year college, and this is for a number of reasons. And again, it differs from person to person. It could be because of grades. It could be because of family finances. Maybe you just don't feel like you're ready to go away. Or in this time that we live in, it could be because of COVID concerns or concerns that you're going to go away to a college. It's going to get put on remote immediately, and then you're going to be sent home, things like that. But again, there's reasons for attending community colleges. And again, they're great places to go to get your starting introduction to college. Again, Moraine Valley is a great way to stay on track, completing academic coursework. Again, you're taking a lot of the same courses you would be taking at the colleges and universities, but you're just doing it for a much cheaper price. Again, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, community colleges are also often 50 to 75% less than four-year schools per credit hour. Again, some people may go to a community college because academically they didn't get to the school they wanted to, the college or university. What happens then? Your GPA restarts. So once you go to Moraine Valley, or if it's another different community or junior college, once you go there, your GPA from high school resets. It's not even a factor anymore. What you do then at Moraine Valley or another community college, that's what you're going to use when you would then apply to that college or university after 2 years. So again, if maybe whatever reason you struggled in high school and the GPA never got going, and your final GPA was like a 2.0, but you really want to go to like Northern Illinois. In Northern Illinois, their average student that gets in is around like a 3.1 GPA. It just didn't qualify. Well, when you go to Moraine Valley or another community college, if your grades are great there, let's say you have a 3.5 GPA from Moraine Valley, that's what they're going to look at when you apply to Northern. That's what they're going to look at when they're evaluating you for scholarships, is that college GPA that you've established at Moraine. So it's just a great chance, a great second opportunity to restart the GPA. So again, we can't talk more highly enough about what Moraine Valley has done for a lot of our students and helping them achieve their goals long term. So again, it's a great place to start off. So if you feel like that's the best place for you, after you apply right to Moraine, right through their website, the next step after that, you do have to take a placement test. And then eventually you sit down with school advisor and help select the courses that you're going to take. So if you have a specific school you want to go to, let's say it is Northern Illinois, when you sit down with the admissions person to determine your classes, you will tell them, I want to go to Northern Illinois University. After 2 years at Moraine Valley, they will tell you exactly the classes you need to take. So again, those academic advisors will be really crucial in helping ensure a smooth transition from community college to a four-year college. There are other community colleges, obviously, besides Moraine. A lot of times there are local community or junior colleges that are nearby big four-year universities. So to give you an example, Parkland College is right near the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Heartland Community College is right near Illinois State University. And again, there's a lot of other community colleges near that. And for some students, maybe you don't want to go to the four-year school, or you can't afford it, or you can't qualify that four-year university, but you want to leave the house, have that off-campus experience. A lot of students will go to those local community colleges. They'll find housing, because a lot of times they have housing that's available, either through the school itself or through local apartment or condominium complexes for students to use. So you're still kind of a part of that larger school feel, but going to a community college for kind of a discounted price. So again, some people do use that option as well. A little bit more, maybe the goal for you, if you go to Moraine Valley, is not to transfer to a four-year school, and if that's your path. That's absolutely fine. Moraine Valley does offer certificate programs that are designed to help you get knowledge in one specific field and then get you into that field quickly. Sometimes the programs are 1 or 2 year programs, and then you're out and you start working in that field. Some of those programs for Moraine Valley include computer graphics, Android developer, hotel management, sign language, EMT paramedic, industrial maintenance, and heating and air conditioning, HVAC. Additionally, other career programs for when you finish it, you go right into the field. They're not certificates, but it's specific degree programs. That includes digital art and design, IT security, nursing, radiology tech, automotive technology, as well as fire service management. And again, these are just some of those different programs. If you go to the Moraine Valley website under their programs, it'll tell you a complete list of all those. It was just too long of a list to list here. Again, great options if you want to go to college, you want to enhance your knowledge in a specific field, and get started to work under that four-year mark. Additionally, great programs that we've started in conjunction with Moraine Valley are our dual credit options. And what this does is allows Evergreen Park students to actually earn college credit for taking a class at Moraine during the traditional school year while you're a senior in high school. Again, you may have seen some of our students who have done this, taking the CNA course, the Certified Nursing Assistants course. Some have done the welding courses, where they will come to Evergreen Park in the morning, have a few classes here, and then on certain days, they will leave early and they'll go to Moraine Valley for a class in one of the specific fields. If you're interested in any of these courses, and I'll run through them in a second, there are mandatory information sessions that Moraine Valley conducts later in the fall, usually late October, but mostly in November. But you do have to attend those sessions. We will send out emails and information about those programs, about the mandatory sessions, and we would ask that if you're interested, let us know, let your counselor know, whoever that is, about what program you might be interested in, so we can get you the information about the information sessions. And again, if you are accepted to the program, as I said, we do adjust your Evergreen Park schedule to accommodate the classes you're taking at Moraine. Some of the programs included are the CNA program, Certified Nursing Assistant program, welding program, emergency medical technician, heating and air conditioning, so HVAC, American Sign Language. Again, if you're interested in that, please let us know when we send out the emails about these dual enrollment options. All right, the third path that students take are the armed forces. Again, options for going into armed forces on active duty, which means when you commit to this, you will go through boot camp, and then you will immediately serve right after for a duration of time. Those branches are the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Additional options that maybe you want to be affiliated with the armed services, but you're not ready to commit full time to those, um, include the Army National Guard, the Illinois National Guard, or the Reserve Corps. So they usually require, again, if you go directly into active duty, it requires a commitment to serve. And that commitment period is usually 4 years of being active. So, for example, if you join the Army, United States Army, you will go to boot camp and then you will serve for 4 years in the Army. After that, you can either elect to continue, you can re-enlist to continue your career in the Army, or your term will be done. You can go to college, you can get a job, whatever it is, but you will be an inactive member. There will still be some obligations and requirements even after those 4 years if you decide to not re-enlist. Soldiers earn a base salary of $1,836. Again, that's what it starts off at. However, as you advance and earn different ranks, different specialties, as you serve different years, that salary increases. And again, your food, your lodging is taken care of while you're currently serving. There are additional educational benefits to being in the military, which says that the military, through the GI Bill, will pay for full resident tuition at public colleges, or they will pay for a good percentage of private universities with a housing stipend based on where you live, based on your state of residence. So, for example, if you go to the military after high school, you serve your time, you come out, and you come back to Illinois, you come back to Everett Park, but then you want to go to Illinois State. Well, at Illinois State, under the GI Bill, your full tuition would be paid for, along with a housing stipend at Illinois State, again, because it's a public institution in the state you reside at. In addition, in the armed forces, you're going to get career training. That career is really up to you and the tests you do take. But again, hundreds of jobs, including nursing, information systems, law enforcement, mechanical technology, aviation, electrician, linguistics. Again, for the Army to run smoothly, they need people to have jobs. And again, many different types of jobs. So it can also be great career training while you're in the armed forces. Again, another popular path tend to be trade schools. And again, we've kind of broken that down into two separate categories. The first is unions, going into a local union. Again, we happen to be in an area in Chicagoland where we have a plentiful amount of unions available. Again, it's not the same in every geographic area of the country, but we are really lucky that we have a lot of labor unions around which can provide not only training, but again, really great compensation for their members. Being a part of a union does require members to go through an apprenticeship program, again, learn the skills of that trade. And then while you're going through your apprenticeship, which is in most cases 4 to 5 years, again, every union is a little bit different, but that's about the average is about 4 years. While you're going through that training, you're actually in the field working, earning a salary. And the more training you get, the more your salary will increase. So again, year one electricians might make a certain salary, then that increases to year two, increases to year three, year four. And then eventually, when you are done with your training, you are what's called a journeyman, you earn the full scale wage for that particular union. Again, there's a ton of different unions in the Chicagoland area. Some of the more popular ones include electricians, pipe fitters, plumbers, carpenters, machine operators, and iron workers. Again, you probably know, just because of geographically where we're located, you probably know somebody that's in a union, right? It could be a family member, could be friend's parents, uncle, aunt, whoever. But you probably know somebody that is in a union. Again, great resources and can give you a little bit more information about that. But if you want more information, we have a local representative. Her name is Mr. Netarayan. Her email address is listed below. You can always contact her, and she's always glad to assist students with learning about how to get into those unions. Additionally, there are certain vocational schools that are based on what your interests are. Big difference is they don't provide jobs while you're in training, so that you're not getting paid in that field while you're still learning about the field. And a lot of times these schools are for profit. So again, there would be a fee you have to pay to attend those schools. And some of the more popular ones are automotive technology schools, cosmetology schools, truck driving schools, media schools, HVAC schools, where you go to that school for a certain period of time, you pay to go to those schools, you get all your training, and then after that, you are set to go into that field of work. So again, those usually are 1 to 2 year programs, again, depending on the different vocational school. And the last path that we're going to talk about today is going to the workforce directly out of high school. Again, there are a lot of jobs that are out there that don't require additional training after high school. Again, that could include office staff, factory worker, delivery drivers, sales representatives, customer service representatives, cashier, retail associate, postal carrier, or food service associate. Again, often if you want to progress in there, so again, to get an entry-level job, you may not need additional education beyond high school. But for advancement into management, you may have to go pick up a certificate or get an associate's degree, or in some cases, a bachelor's degree for further advancement in each of these companies. Again, if you are looking for a job, there's a lot of online resources to look for local things here in the Evergreen Park area. Going to Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter.com is a really easy way to search for who's hiring in the area without just simply traveling around from business to business and asking, are you hiring? So again, that might be something to look into as well. All right, so with that being said, that was just kind of a brief overview about the different options that are presented. During the course of your junior year, we look forward to expanding on this further. We look forward to talking to you about what it is that you're passionate about, that you feel like you want to do after high school, because now really is the time to start getting that ready, to start getting those ideas for which path you're going to take in place. So again, we hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about anything that we've discussed on here, please feel free to reach out to any of us in the counseling department. So again, we look forward to working with you and helping you identify your path and getting you to where you want to be after you graduate from EPCHS. Thanks, guys.